we're here. Hi. I see you found your way into my spring break. I hope you're enjoying the walk on the beach that I took, although it is a bit of a cloudy, blustery day. I also went to a French bakery. Had some pretty tasty pastries and some coffee as well. And then afterwards, I went to this Mexican restaurant. Now why don't I share a little bit with you about how I did all this, how I got you here in my vacation. So come on, let's go back to my room. Oh, wait, you kind of can't. Whoops, almost left you trapped in there. Sorry about that. But hopefully you still enjoyed that little taste of what my students got to experience during this technology integration project. Now, as far as how it went, I thought overall it was quite a success. The students all really enjoyed being able to use a very different kind of technology. None of them had actually used a VR headset before, and so they were really intrigued by this concept. Had a few that actually decided to go out and buy one of their own, so I thought that was pretty cool. Now, in order to measure the success of the project on a more than just feelings level, I had 4 learning objectives that I set for my students. The first one was being able to create and share their own VR scenes. Now that went really well. The hardest part for most students was just remembering to even take the pictures while they were on vacation. They didn't want to stop what they were doing to take the time to take a panorama. But for those that did, they really enjoyed the process. It was very easy. We had a few snags here and there with certain compatibility issues on phones, but they had backup plans kind of pre-made where they could take regular pictures, so that wasn't too much of an issue. The second part was creating a description of their 3 VR panoramas for their groups. Now this kind of fell along 2 lines. You had groups that were either prepared, and students took the time to really work on our pre-writing activity in class before spring break, and they followed the revisions and made nice edits and had some really good descriptions of their scenes. And then we had students that maybe they missed class or they didn't want to work over spring break, they forgot, I don't know. But they did have a few people that came to class a bit unprepared, and so they had a less successful time with the language aspect of it. Now, part 3 of my objectives was for students to be able to understand each other. And again, this came down to preparedness. Those that had prepared had really good descriptions that had already kind of pre-checked, and so their classmates had no problem understanding what they were describing. The ones that were underprepared, though, mostly they really didn't succeed at generating off the top of their head a description of their photos, and so that was a little bit harder to keep them in the target language for that and not just slip to an English discussion about what they did on vacation. Which leads to number 4, which was probably the least successful out of my objectives, which was asking follow-up questions to these descriptions. I think part of the problem for this is that students were so engaged with their projects and with the different pictures that they were looking at that the questions they actually wanted to ask were a little bit beyond their ability as far as French proficiency goes. And so that posed a bit of a challenge. I think another one of the problems was that as part of the pre-writing activity we had already done, they had kind of already asked some basic questions. So when we got time to do the project with their groups, there weren't really too many easy questions left to ask. So even though I provided them with a scaffolded worksheet with how to, grid of how to put together questions, some examples, and some suggested verbs and question words, they still had a hard time asking what they wanted to. So that I would probably tweak in the future. Some other tweaks I would probably do is for time management's sake, I would probably cut us down from groups of 3 down into partners. I originally chose groups of 3 because I wanted students to be able to experience as many different scenes as possible, and that was overwhelmingly their favorite aspect of the entire activity. So I still want to keep aspects of that in there, but 3 was really too much for our 30 minutes in class. So to kind of counter that loss of images, what I would probably do would be allow students to choose maybe their one favorite photo to share with the class. That way, in case they heard of a friend that they weren't partnered with that had a really interesting scene, they could still share them on our LMS, and everyone could still interact with as many different panoramas as they would like. Some other changes I would probably do, like I said, would be to kind of adjust our pre-writing activity, remove some of the question asking aspects of that, and maybe just turn that into a regular question practice activity, and then they can then employ those skills in the activity itself the next class period. But otherwise, it went very well. I asked students some questions here, and like I said, most of them were really excited about seeing each other's pictures. They really enjoyed being able to see into each other's lives outside of class and on vacation. And overall, they were really hyped to hopefully use it again sometime this semester. So I probably won't have them do another cardboard camera image taking. I'll probably have them do something else, maybe with Street View, or have a couple other tricks up my sleeve that I'm kind of working on integrating into a project. So we'll see. But overall, this was a great experience. So hopefully you guys can take some inspiration from that and see how pretty easy it is. The hardest part is probably getting a hold of enough of these headsets, which thankfully they're pretty cheap, and maybe if you're lucky you'll have a grant or the department will be willing to grab some for you. But best of luck and thanks!